Technically, France was able to 1v6 the power of friendship, the rest of Europe, and win for a while. Not only while, though, the power of spite in history for you. Yeah, that's France. Yeah. And now, you know, as they say in Paris, inshallah. So, anyway. Look, I'm in Hungary. I'm raised Catholic. Of course I'm gonna oppose Islam. Of course. There you go. Anyway. Not even the same alphabet as Arabic. Come on, Mag, make an effort. It's called translations. Yeah. 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 There you go. Incroyable. Incroyable. There you go. Fun fact on France. If you take the French flag and remove the red and blue, you get the French battle flag. There you go. Anyway. So yeah, no. Look, I am not the one who decided to take in voluntarily a bunch of people from the Middle East, okay? I am not the one who brought in people from incompatible cultures into the Western world. I live in a country that explicitly said no to that. And now I live in, and now I'm one of the very few people in Europe that actually gets to live in a safe fucking neighborhood. Incompatible cultures, 100%. 100%. Look, the Middle East is to Europe what Latin America is to the United States. Simple as. Simple as. What word got flagged by Automat? Surrender monkeys. Yeah. I would love to hear the reasons you oppose Islam. The Islamic aggression of that led to the Crusades. All of those years of that. The fact that their holy book calls for terrorism. The treatment of women. The most oppressive group ever to exist. The most oppressive ideology towards women in the history of mankind. Nobody else has even come close than Sharia law. The fact that Prophet Muhammad is probably one of the most corrupt individuals to have ever lived in the history of mankind. Somebody who completely succumbed to evil. And that is their standard of morality. What else? The fact that it is we have since 9/11, we've had 48,000 Islamic terrorist attacks in the West. No, in the world. We've had 48,000 Islamic terrorist attacks in the world, outnumbering every other terrorist group by a long shot. Bubba also calls for a bunch of oppression. They just stopped doing it as much over time. The Bible gets overridden by the New Testament. Islam doesn't have that. Islam still needs that reformation. Islam is just more committed to the bit at this point, yes. Yes, and what? Out of how many crusades were them? The vast majority were retaliation, not provocation. So yeah, at least France gave us French House. France gave us Expedition 33, so that is forgiveness. That is enough for me to forgive them. Okay? And on top of that, Islam, like, another reason why, like, I oppose Islam because they don't eat pork as well. Judaism, same fucking reason. Just cook the fucking pigs, dude. Eat the fucking bacon. Dude, guanciale is just... Mwah! And your religion opposes that. Fuck off. France has croissants, and that's not even theirs to begin with. Look, Hungary has bagel. It beats everything. Yes, we had town bribe. We had a brief bidding war. So yeah, always join to the most unexpected conversations. Yeah, there you go. It's your fault. So yeah, we're procrastinating at this point. But yeah, no. It is, Bagley, I ordered some from Tesco because it's the season. So brief BS talks, I might upload this, I might not. But yeah, no, you're bad. It's okay. I forgive you. But yeah, no, the problem is that Christianity had a lot of reform. Christianity has had a lot of reform. At least the Catholic Church has gone through how many conciliaries, Vatican conciliaries, where they are reforming and adapting the faith to the new age. Islam hasn't had that. Judaism adapts over time. Like, they are a very flexible culture, that they have their core beliefs their core practices, but they adapt very well to the changes of the world. Same with Buddhism, with Buddhism, with Brahmanism. You have a lot of these other faiths. All the faiths practiced in India. You have a lot of these, and they adapt over time. Islam, on purpose, stays back behind with everything else. So yeah, just recommended your channel. Is a gold mine for me. Extremely underrated. Continue. Thank you, creative. Appreciate that. So yeah, no, atheism is the most flexible. No, atheism is the one that has brought the most misery after Islam. Every country that has adopted atheism now has the highest rates of people feeling like they don't have a purpose or a community. That is the downside of atheism. That unless you're somebody like Dunkel that is able to see past that nihilism, most people don't make it past the nihilism of atheism. Like right now, it's something like what? In France, 70% of young people feel like they have no purpose in life, that there's nothing to do in life, that there's no point to life. In Italy, Italy, Germany, same thing. That people just feel like there's no purpose, there's no point in life, there's nothing to do, there's nothing of value out there to do. Italy is a secular state. Most Western states are secular. I think the only religious state in the West is the Vatican, ruled by the Pope and by the papacy, but everything else is, yeah. The point of life is watching James R. Master. There you go. So yeah, no, I think every Western state has been able to move past their religious stuff. Like yes, they gave the papacy their own state, and then every other state, despite there being heavy influence from whatever values, stays secular. That does not happen in Islam. Like, if you have two types of Islam, you have the Saudi Arabia Islam, where it is more in the background, and 11 of the 12 happiest countries in the world are secular, and the only exception is fucking Israel. Did I get out of saying that? Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, because at the end of the day, secularism does not equal atheism, but it is that freedom. It is freedom at the end of the day. It is that freedom that the West gives that something like Sharia law simply doesn't. So, will you analyze Ace Attorney? I mean, next round is live queue. So if the wheel says yes, then yes. Because I don't pick the songs. I'm not in nihilism, but I'm an atheism. Interesting point, though. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that many people who enter atheism end up in that question of, if there is no God, then what else is there? There is nothing. Therefore, if there is nothing, then there is nothing. And they get stuck there. And it's very difficult for a lot of people to move past that to the point of, if there is nothing and nothing has value, therefore I get to say what has value and I get to move forward with that. Not everybody gets to do that. Not everybody gets to do that. That turns to atheism. Many people stay in that nihilistic point. So yeah. Maybe should I put it in the washing machine or the fridge? If it's an empty... What the fuck? Why would you put an empty dish in the fridge? Put it in the washing machine. Go wash it. So, I don't think the existence of ontology necessarily requires the existence of religion. That is also true. Because the religions tend to be the actual practices and the rites and everything. So, and Rick, welcome today. How you doing? So yeah, those people need help. A lot of people need help, yeah. Because turns out, the thing that Christians and Catholics were saying, that once there is no God, something will need to fill that void. That it will leave a void behind that, because we are human beings. We do have that purpose, that social aspect to us that needs something higher than us. At any point. Like in the tribal times, it used to be the tribe. Then it was the kingdom. Then when religion came, it was God. And that kind of stuff. And in many cases, since atheism is not something that is adopted culturally as strongly as other religions, a lot of these kids end up discovering atheism by themselves and end up doing their own research and everything. And a lot of them will end up in those dead ends of, oh, there's nothing kind of thing. Finalizers, atheism gives me comfort. I can do what makes me happy and live my life to the fullest, knowing that if you use enough space of time, nothing I do matters. And that, like, as I said, most people are not able to reach that. Most people get the existential aspect of it. So, if nothing matters, then what the fuck am I doing here? And they get stuck there. That's the point I'm making. I love to hear your thought of the Gnosticism. I don't want to delay this any further. I had my agnostic time, and that's just for personal experience. I believe for personal experience. But yeah, Shimi, welcome today. How you doing? And so cults are born. Yeah, that is a distortion of it. That is the corruption of that. That is precisely a corruption of that. When you bring somebody with malicious intent and take advantage of people that need that, then yeah, you can start easily a cult. Like, one of the easiest things that you can do right now online is make some sort of ideology that gives people a common goal towards something. You go to Reddit and you start spreading that ideology, you will end up with a cult. Because Reddit has that problem. Tumblr has had that problem. One of the reasons why we saw so many things in like woke and whatnot is because it has that. It is that. It's that that set of ideologies that make absolutely no sense from one another. They're entirely social media algorithm driven, that make no sense. But these people are so united because they have that. No, but this is to serve the greater good. This is to serve the greater good. This is to serve the greater good. That's why you see these things, and then the ideology ended up getting corrupted by a bunch of people that took advantage of that to make a bunch of money, which, clever fucks. So yeah, call myself an atheist. No proper scientist would. I cannot disprove God, so I'm not comfortable asserting there isn't a God, but I also don't need a God to explain the world around me, because I can explain more intangible and concrete evidence. It's kind of flying spaghetti monster. I could disprove it. So you would be an agnostic then. You would be agnostic potato. Agnostic means you don't care either way. You're doing your thing. So yeah, like incels, like femcells. Another one that turned recently into an absolute cult would have been the trans movement. How it got corrupted from being just, we just want people to be able to address their mental disorder, into inject the kids with sterilize the kids or you're a bigot. Like, those are 2 points where we've had in history. We sterilize the kids and let the males in female sports. That was not a natural evolution of these ideologies. People came in and corrupted it, just like how the fucking pedophiles have tried to sneak their way into LGBT, because they know that they will have protections within those communities, that kind of things. Even the God says, with the state of our world, he's either not all-knowing or powerful or not all good. The counter argument I've heard for that one is that if God were to show up now and correct everything, you would call it a tyrant. Because then he's not respecting the freedom. Because all the evil that happens in the world from humans is from humans. So yeah, the self-substance trans community, and it's like, here's the thing, right? It doesn't take that many people to corrupt something. It doesn't take that many people to corrupt something. I come from Guatemala. I was born and raised in Guatemala. It only takes a handful of people to completely corrupt a system. You don't need the entirety to agree with it. You just need enough people to corrupt it, and you need the rest to submit to it. And that's it. First, Elimination, welcome today. How you doing? So yeah, I guess we're doing ABS talk. Yeah, I guess we're doing ABS talk. I think I'm an atheist, but I realized I wouldn't have to be denied higher power if it actually existed, because there's too many unknowns yet in the universe. In fact, who's to say the universe itself with laws of physics isn't what others call God? So I don't believe, but I also don't deny the possibility of being wrong. And I think that is the sweet spot for many people, just being agnostic of, I'm not going to let this determine whether or not. Is it 2080? It depends. It depends. Sometimes it's going to be one person that is more than enough to completely turn things around. Sometimes it takes the entire thing. How many people does it take to make a revolution? How many people did it take in the United States to start the war for independence? It was less than 30%. How many people fought in the Civil War in the United States? It was less than 20%. But it completely devastated everyone. How many people fought in World War II? It wasn't that many. It was one man It was one man during Weimar Germany that took a club and corrupted it and turned it into the greatest symbol of hate that we have nowadays, right next to communism. So yeah, like, it doesn't take that many people to corrupt something. It really doesn't. And that is one of the dangers. That's one of the reasons why, for example, in the Catholic faith, it's said, like, you need to be vigilant for these kinds of things. You need to not compromise with evil, because it doesn't take that much. It doesn't take that much to corrupt something. Probably doesn't exist how we think of him. Maybe he's not just benevolent or benevolent. I'm pretty sure the truth is somewhere out there. Like, I have my beliefs, and I follow a lot of the Catholic doctrine, but that's because I've had my biases confirmed many times from my end. But that's right next to communism. Yeah. The only reason Nazism is not entirely worse than communism is because we were able to stop Nazism before it got too bad. It was on the way. But communism is just as bad. The difference is that Nazism went for race and communism went for class. So yeah, how Catholics think of depictions of war of God in games like Ultrakill. You will have several types. You will have the moral grandstanders that will believe that any depiction of God that is not, those very badly drawn Christian animations is heresy. And then you will have people like myself that is like, that's an interesting point. It is fiction. It's a cool story. I find it interesting. So yeah, like there's that kind of thing. There's, like 40K, like Warhammer 40K, that they have their depictions, that kind of stuff. So it all comes down to depiction, but I am open to, I'm more than willing to criticize my own side. I am more than willing to hear those things out. I don't close myself off to ideas. I think if there's a God, he runs the universe like a simulation, as he created the constants and equations that govern the universe. He hit run button to see what happens. Any involvement greater than that can explicitly be disproved with tangible facts and data. Probably, yeah. Like, the way I've always seen this, I have my belief. If I'm right, when I die, I will be proven right. And then it's not going to matter to anybody else who's alive. Simple. That guy's a deist. Oh, Potato, you're a deist then. There you go. So yeah, no, like, to me, it's one of those things. I have my belief in all these things. I will be proven right or wrong when I die. And by then, it won't matter. So his interest in the fictional depictions of divinity and parallelisms with real religion, but feels offended if he sees actual mockery of Catholicism, which is fair. I mean, I can see, like, oh, that's a dick move. Why would you depict us like that? But yeah, like, at the end of the day, the Catholic Church is a church run by humans, and there have been plenty of flaws. Like, for example, in Warhammer 40K, the humans are in a quasi-Catholic style cult-like religion that is extremely oppressive to everybody. Like the the Ordo Inquisition, that the Inquisition in Warhammer 40K. So if you look at like, the style of the Inquisition is very Gothic type of Catholic kind of thing. Like, they draw a lot of that Gothic inspiration from these. Oh, this is from Age of Sigmar, I believe. And you have these different things, and of course, the motto of the Inquisition in Warhammer 40K is innocence proves nothing. So he loves 40K. Good. And he feels offended if he sees actual mockery. Yeah. And yeah, like, there are a bunch of parallels that you have in 40K to, like, Catholicism and everything, just because Catholic art is getting awesome. But yeah, kind of me as the fiction of Christianity, because there's a difference between using a faith as an inspiration for your characters, and then doing something like I don't know what was his name. one of these pop stars that would, like, these guys that would just openly, very deliberately just do something for the purpose of offending the faith, right? Like throwing religion to culture and our purpose, but unlike the close-mindedness it can bring a lot of close-mindedness, absolutely. That I absolutely agree with. I absolutely agree with. And it is a balance to be struck. I believe in balance, so yeah. A fideist is not a good believer either. We have in the Bible there is a group called the Pharisees. These types of people are the type of people that ruin every single cultural movement. These types of people are so old that they're written in the Bible. And on principle, they are the same type of people. These are moralizing, virtue signaling, absolute dickheads of people that they're always wanting to make a show out of their faith and their morality and their virtue and everything that they have and how good of a person they are. That kind of thing. They were called the Pharisees back in the day. We've had an iteration of that. Every single culture has an iteration of that everywhere in the world. Every single person. Apostasy? I mean, apostasy is another thing, right? What's the meaning of dogmatism and fundamentalism? Fundamentalism is stupid. I find fundamentalism to be absolutely stupid. There are always going to be things that are lost in translation. There are always things that are going to be lost to time. There are terms that are going to be lost to time. And there are simply definitions that are going to be lost to time. So if you are trying to get the word of God from a book that was written many, many years ago, a lot of the meanings are going to be lost to time. We're not going to be able to do that. Dogmatism, I think, depends more on how you do it. I am in favor of, like, for example, the Franciscan application of dogma in the Catholic Church. I like the idea of the orders, that each order has a certain subculture of it. So there are good uses, but fundamentalism, I find that one to be the most flawed of all of the subsects of religion. You are so informed about this to an extent. Like I grew up with this, right? Like I had, like, along with my regular education with biology, math, and accounting and everything, I also had to take classes on religion and everything. So yeah, whenever like, you can read the Bible and you will find many parallels with today. But of course, there are also going to be terms that are going to be cultural customs. There are going to be definitions that are lost to time, despite our greatest efforts, which is something that I like about the Catholic Church, that they do make sure to always include the footnotes, like, okay, according to our studies and according to our reviews, when the Bible says this, here is the cultural context behind that kind of stuff, right? Like, it has that, like, my mom bought me a Bible like that it will have the footnotes, so that when God says this, okay, this meant this back in this time, or at least we believe it does. We believe this meant this meant this. So then you can't do fundamentalism that way, because now you're actually having more context. There's my theology and philosophy when I joined the stream, but I like the discussion. Welcome to the BS Talks, the bastard spontaneous talks. Yeah, we sometimes have this. God might not exist. That is, fideists completely refrain from proving God's existence because they consider it an irrefutable fact. Therefore, they believe in God. Their belief in God is unwavering. I mean, yeah, I believe. Is there a chance that he doesn't? Yeah. What's it gonna matter if I'm wrong, if I die? Yeah, my pride is gonna be hurt, and I'm gonna be dead. What's gonna matter? The one who put it best was Dave Mustaine. I would rather believe and be proven wrong than I'd rather believe and be proven God, that there's no God, than not believe and be proven that there is. So my grandpa's Christian and he just likes the church. Which one? Classical VIP, welcome today. How you doing? Without providing any reasons for their position, discussion about God's existence would unsettle them. Fideists cannot understand people who do not believe in God. The core tenet of fideism lies in belief based on feeling. A belief cannot be destroyed by reason. To quote the greatest Roach King, you can't reason someone out of a position that they didn't reason themselves into. Like in my case, we've had a couple of documented miracles in my family, kind of thing. There might be other stuff for that, but in my opinion, I've had one too many. In my experience, I've had one too many plot contrivances for me to not believe. So that's entirely based on self-reference for me. Cool to not believe and then prove wrong. It would also be an interesting surprise and basis for learning experience. Yeah, and you know that's just how we do. Like at the end of the day, you believe what you want, I believe what I want, and at the end of the day, the real enemy is the Pharisees. At the end of the day, the real enemy is the Pharisees, because yes, the Pharisees were an influential Jewish religious movement. Nowadays, they're no longer Jews. Not all of them. Like, some of them probably still exist in the Jewish communities. You have Pharisees everywhere. And Pharisees, the type of person that a Pharisee is the type of person that opens the door to the Ottomans in Constantinople. It's the type of person that allows the corruption to seep in. It's the corruptible person that only ever looks after their own self-interest, regardless of how much it might damage other people. So, it depends on how you're proved wrong. Yeah, because it's one thing if you witness a miracle or something like that. Something completely different if you're an atheist, you die, and then you're in the gates of heaven, and St. Peter is there like, so, what's up? People even though I hate his church-like organizations that take advantage of in people they believe. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Which is, yeah, like in my experience, the churches that I've gone to back in the day were Franciscan. Like St. Francis of Assisi, I think it is. San Francisco de Assisi, which is more on a charity-based church. Like, we would go there with my mom all the time, and they're always organizing different charities. Like, that was the core part of the church. Their temples are always super simple, super humble, and most of the money they're using to try and help other people. That's the kind of Catholic that I like. That's the kind of Catholic church that I like. Of course, there's always, like, it's always really cool to see, like, the Gothic stuff, the really, really cool cathedrals and everything, but I love that. And thank you for hanging out, friends. Yeah, we need to move forward with the with this. We're gonna be doing this one, and then we have the giveaway after this. So yeah, Jim just for his time in a few months. Arms are dead now. Nice. I was looking for a single. Nice, okay. So yeah, I'm just other song references. Yes, basically. So yeah, in conclusion, we have all of these things, and just don't let the Pharisees into your movement. Frenchies prevent me to take part in these talks. It's okay. I appreciate the intent anyway. All right. Let me refill this water bottle, and this good talk, everybody. This one's also gonna go up on the channel probably next week or something. Yeah. Let me just go ahead and refill this water bottle. Good talk, everybody. Again, I appreciate everybody always remaining calm, being cool about these conversations, and most importantly, being able to disagree with one another. So at the end of the day, yes. Islamophobia implies that it's a phobia, implies that there is no reason. There's plenty of reason. A lot of people who don't let religion be discussed, whether it's bigotry or let people have their beliefs. I mean, I have no problem with others having different beliefs, but I won't discuss any details closer to the truth. Open discussion. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. 100%. Yeah, that was the start of our BS talks. Yeah, this whole thing was about Islam at the start. My headcanon is when you die, what you believe is what happens. Probably. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't like sunlight. well, that's on you. That's on you. So yeah, I agree. So thank you everybody for always being cool about this. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on with our LFA, shall we?